China's economy is looking a lot more dicey. There's a lot of freezing of China's industry that's been occurring from all this state intervention. And of course, we saw all these big demonstrations, not massive demonstrations, but still unprecedented in recent years in China. And now they are suddenly saying, oh, the virus has changed, no more zero COVID. Not going to be easy to pull off. How do you think China and Xi are positioned globally as we look ahead to 2023? Start with you, Anne-Marie.
I think it's going to be a rocky year for China. I really do. For one thing, the zero COVID policy fed on itself because as people stayed locked down and they didn't get vaccinated, and people will look back and say, why on earth didn't the Chinese government, with all its power, simply insist on vaccinations, even with a less effective vaccine? But once you've done that, you've got a population, of course, of over 1 billion people, including many, many old people who are not vaccinated. And so now we are going to see deaths. And the question is how many, how fast, but that will have its own fallout, both socially and economically for Xi. And in addition to just navigating the overall shift in policy, it is very striking that right after this Congress, where Xi is supposedly at the apex of his power, you see successful demonstrations, right? He is changing his policy. That means he thinks he can't just maintain it. It also means that notwithstanding probably the most repressive apparatus in the world, or certainly one of them, he couldn't stop these demonstrations, right? They went from city to city. There are small demonstrations that are local all the time in China. It's one of the ways, in fact, that the Chinese government lets Chinese blow off steam and figures out, how to adjust policy. But if you see anything like the deaths that we saw in the first 4 or 5 months of the pandemic, and it's not going to be possible to shut that information down. And at the very least, his, infallible leader who is guiding China toward 2049, when it will become, a middle-income country and be recognized as the great power that it has always deserved to be, that narrative is going to be badly dented. And again, you're going to see economic fallout as well.
So, Tom, how big a bump in the road is this for China's role on the global stage?
In the short term, I find it really striking that before the pandemic, as we were heading into this, the narrative that, China, the ascendant power, 10 feet tall. And what's really striking about this is how the Chinese regime has been cut down to size as just another government that has to deal with a bunch of problems that governments have to deal with, like a pandemic. The idea that the Chinese could just clamp down on dissent and could, continue their role as an economic superpower and maintain all of that kind of facade of invulnerability, I think has really been, and I think that's frankly a good thing that facade has been kind of pulled down a bit. I'm sorry for the loss of life and the loss of productivity and all the other things that have happened from the pandemic. But I think we were kind of convincing ourselves of a narrative that the Chinese government could do almost anything.